Welcome to the No Fun channel. I'm Felix, and my German's coming out. I had to go to a doctor. I had to get a potassium test. I've been having issues with my potassium for a long time. I had to get a potassium test. They call go to the doctor. I go to the doctor, and before I went to the doctor, I had eaten. So between them telling me to go to the doctor and get more tests done, my potassium's fine. So it's like, oh, well, and they sent me home. And then after that, my new doctor for endocrinology was like, well, let's go ahead and do the other test too because of your potassium dropping so low like that. So when I got those done, I waited a couple more days because the original doctor wanted to wait pretty much a month to allow the drug get out my system. I was taking a drug that was helping to hold my potassium. But seeing how as soon as I stopped taking that drug, my body said, no more potassium. So I went and got those tests. I haven't got the test results yet. This is actually a test I don't want to pass. I wanted to show negative numbers that something's wrong. So that way, because if something's wrong, it most likely means something's wrong with my adrenal gland. So there'll be two options. There's either a growth on it, which they have to go in and remove, or they have to remove my adrenal gland. Either way, that could actually help my blood pressure. It could actually lower my blood pressure. So I'm hoping it's something like that. Something that can have a positive outcome at the end of it. But what's funny, when I was at the doctor's office, I'm playing on my phone, and there's this little girl. I want to say little. She was probably a preteen. Maybe around my son's age. I think she was probably about 12, 13, somewhere in there. And out of the corner of my eye, I could see her doing this. Like, she just kept staring at me. And it's like, I didn't recognize her. She didn't look like one of my son's friends. But finally, at one point, she happened to look as I looked over at her to see if and we caught eyes, and she like, I didn't laugh. I was just like, okay. But I was like, I don't understand why she keeps looking at me. And then my wife was talking about something like celebrities who people say are attractive but are really ugly, and they were naming off people, and a couple of them we were like, I can see why people think that person's attractive because of their personality. They have such a good personality that it doesn't matter what they look like, you just fall in love with them. And there's a lot of male and female celebrities like that where they just come across so genuine, they're just themselves that you're like, yeah, I can see me doing stuff with them or hanging out with them, you know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, probably if I was famous, I'd probably be on that list. My wife was like, why do you find yourself so ugly? Why do you think you're ugly? And it's like, low self-esteem. Because I do have low self-esteem. The problem is, when I was younger, people picked on me for my freckles. But it wasn't until maybe high school that the girls got over it and they didn't see me as ugly anymore. And by then, the damage was done. But luckily, I moved away and was around people who didn't know me, and I was able to get girls. So it's like, and that's when I realized I was attractive for the most part. I'm not saying I'm devastatingly handsome or anything, but it was also high school when the girls thought I was cute. I've told this story before. It's my favorite story to tell because that's the moment my self-esteem got boosted. It really got boosted. So I'll tell it for the 1000th time. I was on a school trip. I was by myself. I was heading back to the room. Hotel room, and there's these two girls on the other side. Keep in mind, I still have low self-esteem, and they're giggling and laughing at each other, whispering at each other, and the whole time I'm thinking, yeah, they're talking about me. And it's like, they're probably like, ew, what's he doing over here? Oh my God, that's what I'm thinking. And we get to my floor, I step off, and I hear, oh my God, he was so cute. And I'm like, holy, and I turned around, and the door closed. And it's like, it's like I had two attractive girls my age who thought I was cute. And from that point forward, it was just like, well, at least I know I'm cute because I remember them being attractive. And it's just like, oh, I'm cute. Yes. And from that point forward, I was able to, my confidence went up. Well, let me start. My confidence went up, but I never tried to hook up with anyone in school, mainly because I didn't want to. And then once I left school, I moved away. the main reason I didn't want to is because I already knew how these people thought of me and stuff. At least I thought. There's another story I'd like to tell too. But probably a year or two later, my mom's telling me this story about how one of the girls' mom was like, oh yeah, the girls talk about him. And I'm like, what girls? What girls talk about me? And they're talking about girls in the band, like other girls in the band. I'm like, who the hell is talking about me? What are they saying? And apparently they think I'm a nice guy. They actually thought I was cute too. And it's like, what the like, it don't do me no good now. But I also know there were girls who found me weird and stuff. So it's like I'd never done anything to you. I avoid you, but yet you think I'm doing all this stuff. It's like, yeah, you're overthinking it. But, and there were people, like, I never really had a crush. I can't say I had a crush. And it was just weird. Well, it's like after school doesn't do me no good. Telling me you like me after. But yeah, once I got out there and moved away, my confidence went through the roof. And I realized I can pick up girls, no problem. And I wasn't in the best shape. You know, I was way smaller, but I was still able to pick up the girls and hook up with the girls and do all that stuff. So yeah. So yeah, it's amazing how you can see yourself one way and everyone else sees yourself another way. I was thinking about writing a book about that. And I was going to title it, What You See is going to be about a guy who basically me, a guy doesn't realize how attractive he is. And I haven't gotten around to writing. I'm still thinking about it, but I'm still working on my other book. I'm still working on a murder mystery, and it's not going very well. Maybe I'll work on it a little tomorrow. But yeah, it's just all that together. It's like, maybe, was that little girl looking at me because she thought I was attractive? I don't know. I'm not trying to say. Then again, she could have been looking at me for freckles. Kids and my freckles, they always look at my freckles. So that's more realistic. She was looking at my freckles. Because kids like, what's on your face? It's like freckles. But yeah. And there's something else Diddy. Diddy didn't get found guilty on a lot of the major charges. And to be honest with you, I'm surprised he got found guilty on anything. But the one thing that will still come out is he'll still get some jail time. It's just a matter of how long. There was talk, the prosecutor is trying to get 20 years. I think at most he might get 5 to 7 years. Even if that long, because they'll take into consideration how long he's been sitting in jail. So minus that, he might get 2 years, maybe 1. You never know. He might be on probation the whole time. He might get 5 years probation. But it pays to be rich. That's all I can say. But along that, I was thinking, I wonder if he'll try to appeal to Trump to pardon him. Because a lot of people are doing that. A lot of rich people were reaching out to him to try and get pardons. He's just handing them out like it's candy. So, but it's like, are they paying for this pardon? Because I'm gonna assume that's illegal if they are paying for them. There's got to be some legalities on there. But that aside, Trump's approval rating is at an all-time low, and I can't imagine why. So many of these people are turning on him, and it's just going to get worse. Hopefully, something happens to the point where there is no denying that he needs to be removed from office. Will happen anytime soon? Probably not. But yeah. All right. Well, that was a fun little rant there. But, oh yeah, my basement flooded. I think I talked about that on the last podcast. My basement flooded. But what was funny is, we're having a heavy rainstorm. Now I go down to my basement and I see water coming up out of the sump pump. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? But it's weird. I can see the water like bubbling. I'm like, what's going on? So I unplug it. And as soon as I unplug it, the water actually stops coming out. I'm like, what's wrong with my sump pump now? So I hook up the other sump pump, drain what little water is poured into the basement. But then I go outside and look at the sump pump outside, and it looks all clogged. I'm like, oh, great, it's clogged. So I go, and I'm like, okay, I got to unclog it. So I'm not thinking, then I realized, oh my God, I don't recall seeing any water coming out the outside connection. There's a connection that's kind of open where you can see the water coming through. I was like, no water's been coming through. Then it dawns on me, there hasn't been any water. The yard's been dry because usually when the sump pump runs, there's a wet spot in the yard I need to fix. Like, it's been dry. I was like, oh no. Now I'm looking around. I lift up the sump pump connections. I was able to get down there. There's just mud caked in there. Crap. So I traced the tube back, like all the way back. I'm thinking maybe the sump pump pumped mud up through the pipe. It clogged. So I cut a spot in the pipe and water just pours out. I'm like, oh crap. So I'm thinking it's not here. I'm going to have to slice and dice this whole pipe. But my brain, I get an idea. So I'm going to finish cutting the pipe right here. So I do. I finish cutting it. Before that, I actually tried to cut it in another spot. Lucky enough, I failed miserably because I used a saw, electric saw on the one part. Then I went to use a handsaw on the other, and the handsaw was like all over the place. It's like, thank God I failed. Because I ended up cutting the pipe loose, and I had to pump the basement out some more. So I ran the hose through that pipe all the way as far as I could, and it pumped the rest of the way out through the hose, and I could see the water going down. And I was like, so it's not clogged as bad as I thought because it's pushing whatever mud's in there out. So I come back, and I pull up the sump pump that's down in the sump pump. There's a hole for the sump pump. I pull it up out of there. But as I'm pulling it up out of it, I realize the pipe is not attached. The pipe has come loose. Something's caused the pipe to come loose from the sump pump. That's why my sump pump wasn't working, and that's why my basement flooded. This whole time I thought my basement, my sump pump just wasn't keeping up. Here, it wasn't even connected. So I fixed that. I thought I was going to spend money to fix everything. Didn't have to. Turns out from where I had to fix my sump pump last time, I still had some pieces left over and some, bandage pieces. And I was able to bandage back the pipe where I cut it. And everything's working. But it's just like, so my basement flooded because my sump pump decided to fall apart. The pipe came off. So I'm going to have to fix that. I'm going to have to get a better connection on there and fix that. But yeah, that was just pissing me off. Like, you got to be kidding me. But yeah, so, and I need to clean my basement out. I haven't cleaned up from the first time it flooded really bad. And my Mad magazine are still sitting down there destroyed. I just left them. I was like, whatever. And a nice collection too. That still makes me sad. But, yeah. But, yeah. Every time I think about my Mad magazine collection, it's like I started to bring them up, and for whatever reason, I left them sitting on the basement floor, and because it never flooded, so I never thought about it. And you get spoiled. Well, anyways, there was one thing I wanted to talk about is I forget what I was watching, but they were talking about, there's always more than one way to do stuff. And I remember thinking, if you're ever around someone who tells you there's only one way to do something, get away from them. Because in life, for most things, there's more than one way to do something. You just have to figure it out. And some is going to be obvious, some is not. And I remember having a teacher or instructor when I went for my degree who said, there's always more than one way to do stuff in animation. If someone tells you there's not, get away from that. I was like, that's true. That's true in life. It's like, there's only one way to lose weight. I was like, no, there's a couple ways to lose weight. There's only one way to learn how to do this. No, there's a couple ways to learn how to do that. Now, does that hold true for everything that there's going to be more than one way? No. Reality is some things there are only one way to do stuff. If you do it a different way, you're going to get a different result. Like math. If you do math one way, you're going to get one answer. If you do it another way, you're going to get a different answer. So even in math, there's not always going to be a different way to get the same answer. The most likely will be only one way to get the answer in math. Now, spelling is subjective. Like gray, Grey, Gray. Record, a record, buy, there, and there. Your, where. So yeah, that's why English is such a hard language to learn. live live. I always had trouble spelling words because of that. It's like, what in the world? And my brain, when I was younger, like recording record messed me up. Bye messed me up. I didn't know which bye to use. Like, I had no clue which bye to use. It was like, can we just have one bye? But and there's even bye like B, was it BI? So like, I just stopped. But yeah, if you're ever in a situation and someone's trying to tell you that there's only one way to do something, I would advise getting away from them because, yeah, their view on things is probably going to be skewed also. It's sad to say, but yeah. Oh, and something else that popped in my head. Was it Venus Williams? Venus and Serena, I guess. Maybe both of them. But one of them supposed to be working with Elon, and people are talking about she betrayed us. It's like, yeah, she's rich. She doesn't care about you. That's the truth. People become rich, and things. The rules are different for them if you're rich. And if Elon's going to make her money, of course she's going to work with him. It's any rich person. You're going to make me money? All right, let's work together. But yeah, I'm not surprised. I wasn't surprised when Snoop Dogg became MAGA. I wasn't surprised when Nelly became MAGA. Because if you go back, people point out Nelly's songs. Hey, he wants to be rich. He doesn't care about you. You're not his problem. T.I., Nelly, all of them. I'm not surprised any of them wouldn't be MAGA. No, 50 Cent's MAGA. Ice Cube is MAGA. Well, he was the first time. I don't know if he still is, but yeah. So yeah, a lot of those people, once they get that money, they know what they got to do to keep that money, and that's suck up to the rich people, other rich people. But yeah. One more thing, Ironheart. Before Ironheart even premiered, they rated it on Rotten Tomato. It's like, it hasn't even premiered. How can you give it a grade? And it was just like, you got to be kidding me. But like enough, the people at Rotten Tomato were like, no. And then, like an hour after it premiered, people were already dropping videos that it was crap. And some people were saying, I watched all the episodes, it's crap. It's like, and someone pointed out, you watched 3 45-minute episodes all at once and then spliced together a video within under an hour after it premiered. So yeah, a lot of people were getting caught out for that crap. It's like, you had that video ready to go. Just stop lying. It's like, you said it to premiere an hour after it came out. It's like, Jesus. Now, one thing I did point out, I actually did a review on Ironheart, but one thing I did point out is that if you really don't like Ironheart for whatever reason, that you actually can't do an honest review right now. Not really, especially if you're white or even Latino, or anyone who always hating on black people, which is pretty much a lot of you. You can't do an honest review right now. An honest review for you just looks like hate. So it's like, I would wait to do a review. And one of the things people keep talking about is they use that thing, Tony built this suit in a cave with scraps. But people point out, yeah, $1 million scraps. He had expensive scraps. Let's put it that way. Those scraps would make me a multi-millionaire if I had those scraps. Probably get me in trouble with the FBI too. But the point is, he had access to technology that allowed him to build it in the first place. But then people pointed out, Riri built hers in a garage with a car and junk from the junkyard. Or the scrapyard. Either way, the point is, she didn't have his access and she still made it work. So, and the comic books already point out that I think she's actually supposed to be smarter than Tony. I think Moon Girl is supposed to be the smartest one in the Marvel universe or something like that. She's supposed to be super smart. And yeah, it's I think it's hilarious, the hate it got. It's just like, if people were making fun of the music, it's like, I'm tired of the orchestra music. I'm from the time, the 80s and 90s and even early 2000s, where they literally, even in the 70s, 60s and 70s, they used to make soundtracks for movies. You could buy the soundtrack, and it was an awesome sound. Orchestra stuff was for the more theatrical, really dramatic stuff, and all the other movies had soundtracks you could buy, like, but they stopped doing that, and it's like, ugh. Let's get back to that. That's why I like Ryan Coogler. I'm probably saying his last name wrong. Once I hear it some more, I'll get it right. But Ryan, I like the fact that he's using regular music, and I think we should keep doing that. Yeah, the whole let's do orchestra music needs to stop. It doesn't need to be used in every single movie anymore. And unfortunately, I think the Marvel fans have gotten so used to that that's all they want is that orchestra music. It's like, no more orchestra music. And it's time to get away from it. Let's go back to using real music. Let's write music for movies, because that was a big thing too. You wrote a song for the movie, and they really don't do that much anymore either. Most songs now are new songs that they just put in the movie. But yeah, I hope they get back to doing that. You know what's something else I saw funny that made me think, talking about Ironheart, is someone said the only reason we still support Tyler Perry because there's really no one else doing what he's doing. And Tyler Perry is a billionaire who has his own studio. I would love to have my own studio like he has. And big time Hollywood studios use his studio to film stuff. So I would love to build a studio in West Virginia that's like that, and people come here to shoot things. It's like, if I had the money, I would do it in a heartbeat. Build this multi-billion-dollar studio and just lease it out to people. Like, oh yeah, come on, use it. But I don't have the funds to do that. Actually, I don't know where I would build it. I would have to go online and find like a huge area where I live. I know there's some abandoned towns in West Virginia, but I don't know if any are close to me. I wouldn't want to open up one too far from. I want to be able to go to it whenever I want to. I would have it be like not just shooting live stuff like movies and TV shows. I would want to do animation at this studio too. I call it Tate Studios, and it'd be just huge. And I would love an opportunity to do that. But I don't have the drive to do it. Maybe once I get my adrenaline gland fixed, I'll get a new outlook on life. But yeah, when I heard that about Tyler Perry, it's like, that actually makes sense. And he pointed out, though, right now what we have is Ryan Coogler, and even he kind of butchered the name, he apologized. But I was like, yeah, that makes sense, and maybe we should throw more support behind Ryan. Let's get Ryan out there. So far, so good, and that's what I'm saying. As long as nothing comes out like he's doing stuff behind the scene that he shouldn't be doing. Every time they get up there, they fall down. Come on, people. Let's get to the top and stay there without falling down. But yeah, I would love to see more Ryan Cooglers out there. I would love to see more black animation and more all of it. And one of the things I hate about when we do our own thing, it's the number of hate that we get. It's like you guys complain and say, do your own thing, and we do our own thing, and then you complain. There's no pleasing. And my response is, don't watch it. It's not for you. It was never meant for you. So why are you watching it? No one forced you to watch it. All you had to do was not watch it. It's that simple. There used to be a time where I remember back in the day, like the 80s and 90s, people didn't like a TV show, and they would protest it, and other people would be like, you can turn the channel and just make fun of them. Like, why are you press? Just turn the channel, because you're actually giving it free press. That was a time, like, all press is good press. And for a lot of things, it worked. Two Live Crew's album, I think, went platinum or something like that because of the negative press it was getting. Andrew Dice Clay wrote a book that actually wasn't that good, and he sold and made the bestsellers list because of the negative press. There were TV shows, sort of like Velma. People hate watch these TV shows, and they got a second season. So, yeah, don't hate watch stuff, first off. Unless you hate watching it to counter the hate that it's getting, like I did with Ironheart. But I did end up liking Ironheart, so hopefully they have a season 2 come out soon. But yeah, no one's forcing you. And it's even different now because you actually have to log in and pick that show to watch, which means you actively chose that show to watch it just so you could write and nitpick on it just because. It's like no one told you to watch it. No one told you to review it. You don't have to review everything. Even if you're a reviewer online, you don't have to review everything. You could have just let this one go, but you chose to be racist. And it's like your desire to be racist overrode your common sense. Of course, you probably don't have common sense if you're racist. But yeah, it's just like, just don't watch it. You know, we make our own stuff, we do our own thing, and someone wants to come along and make fun of it or try and steal it and whitewash it and make a white version, which isn't as good, but yet gets more press and more money. I'm referring to Friends. And that just popped in my head because the number of people who I see, oh, they should make a black version. Everyone in the comments, I immediately go to the comments. Everyone in the comments, they did. It was called Living Single, and it was first. And I remember watching something on TV when they talking about the Friends copies, and they listed Living Single, and so many people were mad about that. It's like Living Single was first. Living Single actually had a chance to be on NBC. And I was like, could you imagine if it made it to NBC? It could have been even bigger than what it was. I think it was on for 5 seasons. The main reason Living Single crashed and burned is because of Fox. Fox started screwing over the cast, screwing over everybody. They were cutting corners, trying not to pay them, and they lost a hit show. So when networks do that to hit shows, like you have a hit show, why are you trying to destroy it? And that's never made any sense to me. It's like you have a vendetta against a hit show. What's your problem? Like it's making you money. It's like even back in the 50s and 60s, those racist companies weren't making any new money. They were just holding the same, but they needed a new income. And they realized the black market, and they started going to the black market, selling to the black market, and they realized, oh my God, there's so much money there. And they got over their racism for the most part. And it was like, okay, let's sell to the black people. And next thing you know, they realized black people have buying power. Even now, we still have buying power. Look at Target. We stopped going there, and the number of white people getting arrested for shoplifting went up. I didn't shop at Target in the first place. Target is like expensive for no reason for a lot of their stuff. But yeah, it was funny when I heard the number of white people getting arrested went up. It's like it's because the idiots inside were actually following the people who they should be following. When I was young, it was a joke that's like if you want to go shoplifting, go with it's like 5 white guys and 1 black guy go to the store. The security people follow the black guy while all the white people will walk out with half the store. And that was not a joke. It was for real. It's like just to have the white guy walk around. And next thing you know, they'll have the store cleared out because of the racism. And I remember one time my mom was getting mad because some white racist guy was profiling me. My mom overheard him. And she was mad. And I had to calm her down. I was like, what is going on? And I'm like, and she told me, I was like, okay, well, let's go. And it's just like, because I was in high school at the time, and I probably could have kicked the guy's ass because he was a toothpick of a guy. It's like, I never understood racism, to be honest with you, because 90% of the people who are racist for no reason. There's probably a very small niche of people who have actually had something done to them. And even then, there's not a real reason to be racist, because I watched the story where this girl was abused by white people constantly, but yeah, she was racist to black people. It's like, I just don't feel safe around her. It's like, you have been abused by family members, strangers, and so on and so forth, and they were all white, but yet you don't feel safe around black people. Really? And it just didn't make any sense. It's like, so you're just that racist that you would rather be around the people who are going to abuse you versus people who aren't going to abuse you, because people who won't abuse you are black. So it's like, oh my God. But yeah, I think I'm going to end it here. What back to Ironheart though, I did end up liking it. My only hang up is it was a slow build up, but it got there. And well, not my only hang up. And there's a few plot holes maybe they'll address in season 2, but people were complaining about her doing stuff. She's a criminal. She's that and this. I like most of the MCU are criminals. Your white Captain Americas are both criminals actually. And granted, so is Sam because of the Civil War stuff. But yeah, most of the MCU they're criminals. So cut that crap out. And then, she killed someone. She killed someone who's trying to kill her. Yeah, I don't feel sorry for that guy. And most of the MCU characters have blood on their hand, even Ant-Man. So yeah, you that argument's mute. And then I pointed out that she did everything Tony Stark would have done. The only difference is she's black and female. That's literally the only difference. She made a deal with someone she shouldn't make a deal with. She betrayed someone through her own actions. Those are all things Tony has done. Tony has betrayed pretty much everyone. Tony has made deals he shouldn't have. Tony has betrayed people through his own actions. So, yeah. She is, I actually called her Tony Stark Jr. because she's just like Tony Stark. And I think that was the point in the comic books. She was supposed to be just a female version Tony Stark, just without the money. And she is. She's arrogant. She's an a-hole. And she's selfish. And she won't admit when she's wrong. She has anxiety attacks like Tony. So, yeah, she's just like Tony. And so it's definitely racism because they keep talking about all these comparisons. Well, Tony wouldn't do that. Tony wouldn't do it. Tony did all that. What are you talking about? Tony's got blood on his hand. Tony's killed. Tony is selfish. Tony thinks only of himself and does for himself. Like with the whole Infinity War stuff, he could have reset everything. But because he had a daughter, he was like, no, I'm not losing my daughter. Which I can't blame him for that. But there had to be a better solution. But all he cared about was his daughter. As long as he didn't lose his daughter, he didn't care what solution they used. So, actually, there was a whole bunch of issues with that theory anyways. But yeah, she is just like, she did everything Tony would have done. If Tony was in her situation, she would have done the exact same thing. Probably even worse, to be honest with you. But, yeah, let me end it for real. But, Ironheart, I say, if you're into sci-fi, it is a good sci-fi show. Check it out. But otherwise, don't forget to like and subscribe, and everyone take care. Later.